Is ready? Good morning. I'd like to welcome everybody to the Williamson County Board of Commissioners regularly scheduled monthly meeting. Today is Tuesday, July 11th. It's 10 a.m. in the morning. Roll call, please.
Tim Anderson.
Present.
Jim Marlowe.
Present.
Jim Razor.
Present.
At this time, I'd like to, I guess it's the pledge of allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Jim, would you do some purpose?
Lord, we thank you for the day you've given us, beautiful sunshine. I'm thankful for all that are here, Lord. Lord, we ask for special blessings upon this meeting and lead, guide, and direct us during the meeting. Lord, we ask for special blessings upon all of our service men and women throughout the world. Please protect them, Lord. Thank you once again for this nation we have, for all the many blessings that we have. We pray this for your son's name, Jesus.
Before we get started, I'd like to say a thank you to my colleagues. For the last couple of weeks, I've been out with a knee replacement. And I just want to say I appreciate you guys being here and taking care of the business while I was out. Thank you guys very much. Appreciate it. Right. That being said, the consent agenda. Did you guys have a chance to take a look at reports and minutes?
Move to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Tim Anderson.
Yep.
Jim Marlowe.
Yes.
Jim Razor.
Yes.
On to public comment. Is anybody watching? I don't see anybody watching. Does anybody have something for public comment? All right, hearing none. We'll move on down to the highway department. Travis?
Okay. Let me grab second group all that. So, we've got a subdivision plat here, for your consideration. Myself and Alex have reviewed this. Basically, off of Old Creole Road, there's a family, a farm, their last name is Farming. They own, I think, 10 acres, and they're subdividing this in half and giving their kids half of it. The south half of their property, they get access off of Old Creole Road down here. They are proposing that their 5-acre tract have access, that they're selling to the kids, have access off of Old Creole Road on the north side of the property, the south side of Old Creole Road. I'm sorry, I got that excited. The south side of Old Creole Road. And the problem is, according to our subdivision rules, you're supposed to have a minimum of 50 foot of frontage on county road. In this particular case, they have basically 39 feet. If they don't, this is the only access they have to this north property. So I went out and looked at the topography of it. I think with the topography of the ground there, I think that they can get an entrance in there that is suitable for emergency vehicles to get in and out. In addition to that, there is a piece of property right next to, just to the west side of it, that's basically unknown. The assessor's office originally had that as them owning it, but they have discovered that there's some unknown ownership there. They are trying to remove it, get that through the court system. If they get that, it'd be a moot point, but in my opinion, I think they can get an entrance in there at 39 feet. They have proposed, and you guys have in front of you here, an exception to our ordinance for the 39 feet versus 50 feet. I think we have approved those in the past. They prepared the plat and everybody signed it. All the taxes are current. I checked on that just a couple days ago. And so at this point, it's you guys score what you want to do. So I recommend you.
After you and I talked a few moments ago, Travis, they're connecting a piece of ground, but they're taking this tract off. You say that has a connection point to another
It
road.
goes over here, so Oak Creole comes around and bends back this way, and I think their access comes off of that.
There's no way to get an easement or anything.
Yeah, I mean, they could probably run an easement up through here to get access to it. Then you're just looking at additional expense to build.
Yeah,
That's what they would be looking at. I haven't actually. It's been a while since
That's right by the curb.
Yeah, so the south, Oak Creole comes up here, curves back this way. Yeah, and then it curves back up here. And then, there's a little Y up here, goes, this way to 166. No, it's, no, this is further south.
Further south.
Yeah, this
Ellis?
is. Yeah, Ellis, West Ellis. Yeah, West Ellis goes here, East Ellis is over here.
If that unknown piece of property is there,
It's,
we don't have a discussion today.
we don't even have to discussion today, that's correct.
I was just asking.
No,
Just because we need to explore before we give a variance or exception to them.
Yeah, it would, you could definitely, I mean, I'm assuming that they can do that. But you're looking at considerable
It
expense.
would be very expensive to do that.
Up through there, and it's been a long time since it's been 3 weeks ago since I looked at this.
And something like that may make it even more difficult for the emergency vehicle to get into it.
They very well could, yeah,
So we don't know who owns that other parcel.
right, this is unknown.
Okay, I mean, with the trustee not on there?
Well, I don't know what trustee,
He's saying the taxpayer.
The taxpayer.
Well, who's paying taxes on it now? Did they-
well, it's assessed to the, I think Alex isn't in here, but I believe it's assessed to the farmers. These people.
That would be it.
I think in the title search, when they were doing all this, they found that it wasn't. I think in this
Probably not in the
survey,
legal description.
it's not in the legal description, I think is what happened. And so they've been paying taxes on it. My understanding is they've been paying taxes on it and they're going through whatever they need to do with the court system to try to.
Adverse possession.
I don't know. Yeah, it may be adverse possession that they're going through. I'm not sure.
But they've been paying it for 20 years,
Yeah.
and they're holding it out as their own. That's the legal remedy they do, or else they do a quiet title action.
Seems like that's what they were talking about, is quiet title action. But I don't. I personally, I went out and looked. I think they could drop a 5 year, get access, not make problems. And, with our right of way widths, I think they can get it. So,
I'll make a motion to approve the variance.
Second,
Roll call, please.
Tim Matheson?
Yes.
Jim Morrow?
Yeah.
Jim Reason?
Because they're in the process of trying to get that.
yeah, that's my understanding. They're trying to get that taken care of. So it's all kind of fluid in there, so nothing's been done for years.
All right, so are you up or you have anything else for us?
No, just our normal summer program, we've pretty much finished up with our oil chip program this year. Done about the same mileage as usual. It's a little more expensive this year with oil being higher.
How much is it for?
20-foot roads are about 13,000 a mile this year for single pass. And the narrow, what we call dust control roads they're running about 10,000. So, and it's about 2,500 a mile more for the 20. And I forget the difference on the other one, but it's considerably more expensive this year. We are in the process of mowing right now. We've been making some in-house improvements to Power Plant Road, getting ready for a resurfacing project next year on Power Plant from the golf course up to Lake Beach Road, and also all along Lake Beach Road, South Market 37. Make some safety improvements there, put some 4-foot shoulders on that, and resurface it, raise the guardrail up. So we're getting ready for that. We are about, well, I expect any day now to get the waiver evaluations for the roundabout, the land acquisition documents on my desk for approval here in the next few weeks. So hope to have the acquisition for the roundabout completed by early fall. Possibly get that on the January letting. It's shaping up to be a very busy summer next year. With Lake Beach Power Plant, and then hope to put East Grand on. We got some special funding through Durbin's office last year on it. It's now available. We're working on finishing up the design for it, and hope to get in on the January letting, and then the roundabout on the January letting. So next summer is going to be a pretty busy construction season. If everything works out like it's supposed to. So, and we just got 4 new tractors in. We've been waiting on those for about 9 months. We're getting ready to bid a new boom arm mower. So the one we have now, we're having some difficulties with. And so we're going to trade it off and get a new one. We really need 3 of those running most of the year. And we've been lucky to have 1 or 2 running most of this year. We're getting a little behind on that part. So, and we're still kind of looking for permanent employees if we get an opportunity. So the market right now for employees is pretty thin.
Any word on that last piece of property down at Walker's Bluff?
My understanding, last I heard, that they were done with the land acquisition. And I think Rhett was, did you have a conversation with the state's attorney in Jackson County on the documents?
I did. The release, in my conversations with her, we both agreed that the release needed to be with Baxter. Baxter's release has Samron and has other people involved with it. We both agreed we don't care what their relationship is in the project. Our release is with Baxter. So she was going to redraft and simplify, take away some of those external companies, and just say, you're warranting that that the whole project is good. We're not going to play this game of, well, Samron didn't do the road, you need to go after Samron. No, we're going after you, and you can go after Samron. We're not going to chase the game. So
They were paid a fee as part of their stuff to manage that stuff. So I agree.
So that's what we're trying to get done now, is simplify those 2 numbers.
And then as soon as the land is done, which my understanding is it's done or very near done, they're waiting on 1 solid document or 1 signature. I think last time I talked to them. And then as soon as they do, then on Shipman, we'll be able to finish up the transfer documents and move all the Jackson County deeds into them, move all the Williams County deeds into us, and move officially on the road, and then the warranty document signed. That'll give Mitch and myself the jurisdiction transfer basically to take over with the 1-year warranty. Whenever that started, I'm not sure. That's probably another question.
Has it started?
I don't know. How did you feel about that?
I don't know if it's been being used or not yet. That's.
I drove down in it 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago.
Technically, it's not open, but they've been using it.
They haven't used it.
So there's no blockades. There's nothing
Yeah.
blockades.
Well, initially, we had discussed that it wasn't gonna get opened by Mitch until, I know that's where they wanted deliveries, et cetera, to be working through. But I didn't know what the status of.
The status is it's not supposed to be open, but it is. And Mitch is not doing anything on it. Neither.
Yeah.
So we did put a couple road signs on it just to get everything. So, looking forward to that day when we can just accept the maintenance and put that project in complete time.
We'll review it. All right, thank you, Travis.
All right, guys. I'm gonna leave this with you guys for signatures, county clerk, you guys, and Alex, I think still needs to sign.
All right. Is there any old business? All right, hearing none, we'll move on to new business. Please, I want to get new business.
I do. I've invited Kevin here, talk about the animal control fees. Kevin gave me this little report, and this out. This is what we contract with right now. Talking with Kevin. Fees have not been adjusted since 2007, is that correct?
That's correct.
Now, I sent Brett an email yesterday. Told him I just want to present this for discussion. We charge $2.10 per capita for every village that contracts with the county. And I don't know, I just think that not having a fee increase since 2007 is a little excessive. I don't know where the board wants to go with this. I thought all I want to do is open this up for discussion. And Kevin, jump in on this
Sure.
at any time you want. Or Brett, if you have any comment you'd like to add concerning my email, question that I proposed in the email, because I'm not sure if, how to go about this, how we can go about this. I don't know if there are any statutes that regulate.
So if there's not any statutes, it's all a contractual, whether that be an intergovernmental agreement or some document that should exist. I've not seen that document, so I don't know if that document was created in 2007 and has an evergreen clause in it that it automatically renews every year thereafter unless notification is given, et cetera. Those are the types of things that we need to look to see. Some other counties have increased their fees. The various municipalities have said yes or no. They've somewhat negotiated. One of the counties has created a committee so that they're aware of what efforts are being utilized by the county animal control, what is actually being provided to the municipality or to the locality. Those seem to be the common questions that I've experienced here recently of, well, just how many dogs, how many cats, how many, are you actually handling for our town? Does it justify us paying for something to happen, et cetera? So I think that's a fair question that you'll probably get posed.
Yeah, and I explained, Jim, I do have just a few towns that do question. Not every year, every couple of years, they'll call, they'll ask about the number of calls we've responded on and things like that, just like what you said, Brett. And they're just probably questioning the amount that they pay and so forth. Going back to the increase, the best I can tell that it went from, in 2007, it went from $2 to $2.10. And it hasn't been changed since then. I did contact several counties, probably within 2 to 3 hours of Williamson County, all over up to central Illinois. Some larger counties, I've talked with Stacy Ballard, Department of Agriculture as well. It seemed like every single county handles this intergovernmental agreement differently, not just per capita, per census. Sometimes some counties do it on a on-call basis, which to me seems very, very difficult in my opinion. Where they basically have to, just an example, if there's a complaint in a particular town, that alderman or that mayor, whoever it may be, has to approve the county to come out. If they do, then the county sends a bill for that particular service that day. To me, that seems a little bit redundant, hard to keep up with, not accurate, But again, talking to Stacy, the way that Williamson County does it, I think is probably the most effective way, efficient way as well. But again, it hasn't been changed since 2007. So it's been a long, long time before, since there's been an actual increase on that. What the fee should go to, I don't know. I wouldn't know how to set that number, to be honest with you. The closest county that I found that is near Williamson County is $2.35 per capita. rest of the county. Some counties don't even contract with other towns. They simply just service their county area only, unincorporated areas, and the towns take care of themselves in whatever capacity they have to. So I think Williamson County is extremely lucky and fortunate to have this many towns wanting to participate in our program and be able to offer that service as well. Because we're, in my opinion, we're doing the right thing here for our towns. So.
You keep track on each individual town, how many calls you make to each town?
Yeah, so I've got files for every single town, the complaints that we get, the calls we take and respond and things like that. I do keep files of every caller, every person we deal with, everything throughout the entire year. So I can, with the click of a button, tell that town how many files I've got for that year. But here's the thing with my files, I may have John Doe in there. Well, we've been in John Doe's house 7 times this year. You know, that's just one file for that person. So yeah, I do keep track of all that. So if I get a call from the city, I can answer that real quick.
Do you get calls from every one of these towns?
All the time. Yeah. Yeah, we're
So
covered
we're
there.
not, every, I guess the question is, every one of these towns or villages, they're utilizing your services.
Absolutely. Yep.
That's, you know, it's been 16 years since there's been a fee increase.
Yeah.
That's a long
Yeah.
time. And like I said, this is just food for thought and you know, maybe work for discussion. But whatever the board decides, I'm not sure when is a fiscal year for a community? Are they all on the same fiscal cycle?
They're May,
May,
when they have to do their budgets.
but their fiscal year is July 1 to June 30,
It's May, it's
June
first, June 1 to
31st. Okay. So,
we're past it.
Yeah, right.
They've already had their public hearings and passed their budgets.
right. So what I was getting at is, that's why it's just open for discussion, so that we can give communities, we have increased, give communities time to implement these into their budgets.
I'm sorry, Jim. The county's contracts begin December 1, just like the county's fiscal year. Runs December 1 to 30 following year.
So I know he's got, Kevin and I have talked, you know, he's got, you know, 2 lists currently at 210 and with the fees would be at 250. Okay, but, you know, Kevin and I'll share with Kevin, you know, I would think 3 is not that long. You know, after 16 years, dormant increases, or if you go to 250 or whatever, we have a percentage increase every year. Whatever that might be.
That would be, my comment would be, and I just roughed this in my head, but to go to 250 is about an 18% increase. I know what it feels like to us when we get an 18% increase dropped on us. And I think, talking about us, who believe the county, the communities we live in, to be just a little bit neighborly there, I'd like to see us ramp this up. Maybe we just commit to, you know, we're going to raise the rate a little bit for the next 3 years. Let them know what's coming to help them with budgeting.
Right.
Because money seems to be getting tighter for everybody right now. That would really be my only input. I do think if it hasn't been raised since '07, it needs to be adjusted.
Sure.
But let's just think about being fair to our communities as we adjust it and not prop it all on them at one time.
We could do 5% in the next 4 years. And that'll be plenty of room.
Yeah. And it could even ramp from there as long as we communicate with them that here it comes. You'll be thinking about what you're going to do here. Because the numbers are actually small enough,
They're not huge numbers,
but just out of courtesy.
but you're right. I know how I would feel about saying 18% increase.
Well, and I would assume, maybe you can speak to this, that there may be a tipping point in there for some of the smaller communities. That all of a sudden $200, $300 a month or a year might be enough that they question whether or not to use the service. And I don't think anybody gains if any one of these communities drops the service, because then they're going to have more animal issues.
Right. Right, and it's kind of it's a catch-22 a little bit because the smaller towns sometimes have some of those issues that need us more, so they get their service, some of these small places. But the bigger town, for example, like my biggest town, Carterville, Johnson City, we're there a lot over complaints. Carterville, as well, they obviously, they pay the largest amount, but, again, they could provide their own animal control service for the yearly fee they pay the county. So if they wanted service, like Jim and I talked, they couldn't sustain their own program based on the fees. But, some of these smaller towns, just for example, Freemansburg, Stoneford, okay, they're a split town with other counties. We only service half that town, half of Stoneford, half of Freeman, where the county lines fall. So then they've got to worry about the other county as well. But as far as a tipping point, as far as when they say if they can't want to pay it or for, it's hard to say, I'll be honest with you, because those small towns do generate a lot of problems.
And I assume it would be difficult, let's use Carterville again because it's the biggest numbers. Right now, they spend a little over 12,000. I assume they would struggle to provide the level of service we provide right now. If they went on their own with a budget of $12,000, they probably wouldn't get as much bang for the buck, would they?
You couldn't rent a facility for that. You
Yeah.
barely keep the lights on.
They pay them.
And you couldn't pay staff, you couldn't pay licensing, you couldn't pay care. I don't see how you can run a year on that.
Where would they do that? They have a facility that would be standard.
To my knowledge, and don't quote me on this, the county took over Carterville, I believe, at the end of 2012, early 2013. I believe the city of Heron was providing service to Carterville before the county took it.
Correct.
I don't know how that went, but obviously they had changed for some reason, But again, I don't. That's to my knowledge, they contracted with Heron. They didn't have any type of services within Carterville themselves.
So our service is a value.
In my opinion, absolutely. Yeah. And my guys respond 24 hours a day, 7 days a week for emergency calls. You name it, we're there. We run majority on complaints. We do patrol the roads, but majority of the time we run on complaints that come through the office. We work with the city halls and police departments very, very well. When they have an issue with people in towns and certain areas of towns that are rough or need help with, we obviously we're really good at work with and give them all the services they need. But again, as far as what to raise it to, I'd leave it up to you gentlemen. I don't know. I've never had to obviously go through this to know what to put it at. And the counties that I've contacted, like I said, I don't have a number to compare it to because every county across the region that has the animal control program does it. Closest one was Franklin County, and they were at 235.
Jim, do you have a plan of when you want to get this on?
Well, if there's no other discussion, we put it on the next agenda. More discussion, you want to do more looking into this?
I mean, I can. I think I've exhausted almost all my resources to call.
We've got plenty of time, obviously.
Yeah, so here's how I do this. And I told Jim this yesterday, I prepare all these contracts in usually late August or early September, and I mail them out to my towns in September. So then they've got 2 months to get them on their town's agendas for their board meetings to get emailed back, sign them back to us. So we can sign them before December. So we've probably got a month or so to probably decide what we'll do before I have to start preparing the contracts, get them sent out. So just let me know.
I'll look at maybe the next.
Yeah, next
regular.
Next board meeting.
Okay. And in the meantime, I'll make some more calls and see if I can come up with more information, but I have spent a considerable amount of time calling, larger counties, like I said, Tahoe State Department of Agriculture, everybody who does this type of contract or service and trying to figure out, just where everybody's at and where Williamson County can go with it.
I'm not opposed to a small percentage increase of the state.
I think that, for me, that would work better than one-time increase.
Counselor?
So I've got two questions. One, I noticed on the sheet listed here, we've got 2010 census numbers.
Yeah, so I put that on there simply because, that was Freeman Spur and that was Stone Fork. Now, those two, since they are split between Franklin and Saline County, those numbers were not available when I updated in 2020. Actually, it was in 2021. Once the census was done in 2020, the numbers weren't available till the next year. So I had no numbers to go by. So when I sent my contracts out for this year, I had to use those based on the last census available. So, but I will hopefully have new numbers going into 2024 for those two towns.
So that leads me to my next question. So in your contracts, are you actually doing a per capita or are you doing a total?
Well, we base it off the population. Whatever the census report says is those per
Now,
town.
I understand that, but what I'm saying is, do you do a per capita or do you do a total?
We just go by the 210 per total population of that town.
No. Okay, so if I'm Carterville and I receive a contract from the county, is that contract gonna be $12,280.80? Or is it gonna be $2.10 per person? Because it makes a difference. If they show then that their population has decreased, they then under the contract come back and say, I should be paying less. Or if you show that it's increased, then hey, it should go up.
Okay.
So a lot of them that I see, it'll be a flat amount. It'll be explained, here's how we arrived at the number, but the actual contract is for $12,000. The
Okay.
contract's for $14,000 as opposed to getting into the 70 cents and 50 cents and 60, and all of that. We just say, here's what it is.
Gotcha. Okay.
So I didn't know how you were doing.
Right. The language in the contract does state, it says based on the last population is, in this case, it'll say 2020 census. Population for Carterville showed, whatever was on there, 5,008 something. And then we would take that, and multiply it by the 210, which gets them the total year they pay.
And as long as we base on a set census, like the 2020 census, that number's not going to change, and that would lock us in.
And that was my concern with, you've got these numbers here based upon reportedly a 2020 census, and you've got two towns that are paying based upon 2010.
Right.
I can promise you Carterville would love to pay on 2010 numbers rather than 2020 numbers.
Right. That was strictly
So-
because there was no data available.
I understand that, but from the optics standpoint, I think the county's better to say, here's what it is, and here's how we calculate it, than it is to get into the argument.
Okay.
So it's just something to look at.
Sure.
Let's look at a draft of that contract and then approve it and then template it out for
Okay.
everybody else.
I tell you what I can do. I can send you just a copy of just a random town. You take a look at it and we can adjust it, update it, change it, whatever thing we need to do.
That'd be great.
And you currently use a 1-year agreement to renew
Yes,
every
yeah,
year?
it runs from, it'll start December 1 of that calendar year to the following year of November 30th. Like, for example, contracts that get signed this year will be effective December 1, 2023, expire November 30th, 2024. Follows the county fiscal year. And that's the way that they've been, to my knowledge, and that's the way it was whenever I took off the office over, and that's the way that it was done in the past.
We'd
So
still
if
do
there's any changes
a
that you
yearly
made,
increase, a scheduled increase,
Yeah.
with a one-year contract, just letting them know.
Most of the municipalities don't do zero budget. They do this inflated, $5 million appropriation bill type of situation.
Yeah.
And they do a budget on the side. So they've got the wiggle room to do it. It's just again, the fairness element of it.
Yeah,
sure. Hey, this is gonna be it, and here's when it's going into play so that they can deal.
That's all I want to do is read this. Would it be worth putting that in the contract that it's going to be a yearly escalation for the next so many years?
I think we have to,
Well, I think especially if the board already knows that they're going to do it,
yeah,
Put it right in the contract.
then it's something that we might want to do a 3-year agreement as opposed to a 1-year. So we're
That
not
was kind of
processing.
where I was leading, is at least maybe a 2, but a 3 would be great.
Then they can budget.
Then they
as
can
well.
plan. They can plan. And we'll make sure that they've got opt-out. I don't want to tie somebody to this.
I don't like increases, but if I know there's an increase coming, I can budget for it. I'm a lot easier to deal with.
Well, that's kind of the disservice of not having an increase with 7, is it's easier to swallow if it's just a, a couple pennies per person
Yeah.
every year as opposed to, a large one. We're dealt with what we've got in front of us. Just putting it back on track.
Okay, you good with that?
Yeah, the only other thing that I wanted to bring up was that I know in the last meeting, we had a question concerning the contract with Mark Dillon and Egmar about the interest rate. There was a question brought up about the interest rate on non-payment. Mark has said something, taking that paragraph out of the contract. So it's a non-issue, and the fee was at 18,000, that's what we approved last time.
Yeah, I signed that this morning.
Did you?
Yes.
Okay. Kevin and I met Mark, and we did scope out the property a few weeks back, and we found a great location for it. And we're working on an agreement with Amber to give us some easement access back there on the just on the other side of the fence. I don't know if you've seen that or not, Travis.
I have not.
Okay. But anyway, we've got access to a couple. So everything looks like it's on track, so.
Yeah, I actually had a meeting with Mark one day last week, I think Thursday. He brought in some, the first preliminary drawing with the facility, some things, and tweaked it a little bit. And it's looking really, really good, practical, good workflow. Very, very friendly, very good for the animals. Looks really, really good. I think he maybe send that to you gentlemen as well, if you haven't got it yet.
I believe that's one of
I'm not sure. He was gonna make some small changes to it and send it on.
The location is surrounded by tree lines. Should not be a problem, disturbing anyway. That's kind of a tough way, but it's open, it's great. The area they won't have to do a lot of, I might do a lot of tree clearing. So the only concern would be the road, that's where I want you to take a look at.
Yeah, so if you guys can send me something, just out of curiosity, in relationship to where the new, I guess there's two questions. Number one, has somebody verified the property coverage out there?
Just on the assessor plat map.
Because I think that property's actually had a survey.
Yeah, there was a survey on it?
Well, I think it
Well, I
was.
think we had that survey. Mark had it.
Yeah,
And-
we found certain mistakes too.
Yeah, we found survey mistakes.
I had some people expressing some concern to me about whether Amber had actually approached on that property with the fence on the south side of our property, north side of theirs. I don't know where the lines are actually at. I think it would be worthwhile to have somebody, if you guys, I don't know if I've got a copy of that survey, but if I had a copy of that survey, I could send Patrick out there to try to find the property owners. It would be worthwhile to know that. And then, are you looking at the placement of the road that you were talking about? Is it going just north of that fence?
Yes.
And because there's a creek crossing back there.
Yeah.
That Amber come to me and because that's on our property, that creek crossing. And they come to me and ask me, said, hey, do you have problems with this? Well, it's really the county's property. But I said, I don't think they're gonna care. And they actually I think they put some pipes or something in that creek crossing so they can get through there. Which I don't know if that's substantial enough. I haven't looked at what they did. I haven't been back there since they did it. But we might want to look at that, whether that's
Did you see any
substantial.
pipes in there?
Well,
Or did they just put riprap?
well,
Rip was all I saw. I didn't see any pipe.
Okay.
well, wasn't there that might have been the city, I don't know. There was a big drain culvert, remember that they
Yeah.
found from overhead? Like,
We can run out there and take a look at it.
Yeah, so if I can get that survey, I'll have Patrick, and my guys go out, see if they can find it, we'll take it back, they look at it, see if they can find it, and see if they can say it. That'll kind of give us an idea. So I'm sure you probably didn't have to address that in your contract with your architects.
Well, it's a little bit of an oddly shaped piece of
Yeah, it
layout
is.
as well. It seems like it brings back the between the windows and kind of comes like this.
I
Do you think there is a survey?
think there is. Yeah, you know what, let me look at my files, I may even actually have survey.
We found state.
Yes, and I think the engineer had mentioned it. I think, he mentioned, I
Oh,
think the
who
year
had that survey?
2018, he had good information on that.
For the recording, I think.
Maybe in your office.
Let me look, I may have it. Wow. It seems like I've seen it, that's the reason I said something. So let me see, if we do, I'll get Patrick out there next day or two and see.
Let us know if you can't find it.
But I think we talked about that. Surely that hadn't been done whenever the county had traded and swapped ownership with all that as well.
Well, it's more than the plat act, so it wouldn't have to actually be. But I would have thought the county would have.
I'm pretty sure
Said
they
it,
had survey.
Because you guys surveyed everything that you traded.
Yep.
For it, so I'm thinking that it probably was done, so let me see if I can dig her.
Traded value for value, we want to make sure everything was.
I'll take care of that, see what we can, if you guys want to send me what the proposal, I think, okay, over the location. So,
Okay.
All right, moving on. Jim, have you got anything else you'd like to add? Does anybody have any comments on miscellaneous? I got a call, since ARPA is on, I did get a call from Blairsville. And they had asked, because the water tower project came in under the estimate, there was a little bit of contingency money left. They did ask us if we could send that money back to them for general use. And I informed them that the money has to come back to the county and that they were welcome to fill out another ARPA application because the uses of the money are restricted. So general use is going to meet our requirement to see how the money's going to be used. So that they may bring in a new ARPA request for money. At White Ash, we're still not complete with that sewer system up there. I think the materials are all in, and I talked to Scuda about a week ago, and they were busy. It hasn't gotten out there. There's a little bit of work that still needs to be done. I did talk to Mayor Dobbins, and we're still on track to talk to them. You know, we've gotten that list of stuff from them about taking that over. So that is still out there to be done. But once again, not until we finish the project. That was the mayor's request. So as soon as I know something more about that, I'll bring it to you guys, and then we will start in earnest talking. Okay? Does anybody have anything else? Legal?
Nope.
You have a motion to adjourn?
So we can. Second.
Tim Atkinson.
Good.
Jim Morrow.
Good.
Jim Razor.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Julie, something